Hi, my name is Charles Malki, biologist and plant expert with Ivy Organics, where we grow cool plants, and here we are at the Leith Zaiger Genetic Orchard in Modesto, California, and we're here with about 5 or 6 other influencers, and we're excited to bring some of the best content from the best fruit tree orchard on the planet. Let's enjoy.
It's really embryo rescue.
So for clarification, embryo rescue, I'm assuming, is you're going into the seed of the plant and pulling out the embryo out of the seed.
Correct.
And putting it in that gel that is offering the food and nutrition.
Because when you do a cross, when you're crossing one, taking the seed parent here and a pollen parent here, and you mix them together, the fruit on the outside is all the same as the seed parent. It has no genetic makeup from the pollen at all. You have to go into what we call the gamete tissue, which is the little embryo, to be able to get the genetic differences. And so that's why we have to grow seeds, because otherwise you're just getting the same thing as the mother tree was all.
So just recapping, each one of those are different children.
Yeah.
None of them are genetically identical.
Correct. Because some of these all have the same parents, but it's like children. None of them are the same genetically. So you will find differences in all of them.
And the differences can be
remarkable because, you know, if your seed parent ripens here, you're going to get traditionally a bell curve of what it's going to do. You're going to get some up here and you're going to get some down here. And what you're looking for are the best in both of those categories. Because if you're staying in the middle, you're looking at your same seed parent unless you can find tremendous differences that make it a better thing, better firmness, better color, better storage capacity, better flavors. Those are all the things that we look at. The good one, this is what we look for. This is what we try to find. You can see it's got nice roots coming down. It's got shoots coming up. It developed itself really well. Some of the times we get here and we'll get a nice shoot growing out the top, but it only puts the absorption structure and there's no roots, and we can never get it to root. Even if we put rooting hormone on it, it just never wants to root. But this is what we look for. Otherwise you have, and sometimes they'll put out a nice root and no shoot. As soon as everybody was close. What we're doing here in this section here is rootstock trials. We've got this row here has, every tree is almost on a different rootstock. You can see some of the rootstocks were not very long lived. Some of them weren't compatible with the variety we put on it. This row here is all root pack R. It's a semi-dwarfing variety, and we're comparing it to a experimental variety we have on that row, which we also feel is semi-dwarfing to grow. And what it shows is there's been a lot of changes sometimes in the maturity of the fruit on each different rootstock. These apricots here all happen to be leocot. And the same with the front tree, and the same with some of these others. Now, the rootstock where there's no fruit left, that rootstock caused the tree to ripen approximately 5 days ahead of all the rest of them. So I picked it for my husband's pie. The rest of them still had green shoulders and weren't ready yet. But you can see the differences, and sometimes you can even taste the differences, especially when I don't have any more Leahs, but that one, when you go from that one to root pack R to the experimental one over there, sometimes there is even a sugar difference, there's a maturity difference, size difference. And you're welcome to pick any leocot you'd like to taste, but it is a nice piece of fruit. So you can have all.
So leocot's an aprium, so it's plum apricot hybrid that was released about 10 or 12 years ago.
Come on, can I please talk?
That only keeps the seeds from drowning into this. This is all our mother stock. Those are the ones that we pick up when the flower buds are at the right stage, move them into the greenhouse, and we do all our hand pollination.
I think we're going to cherries right
now. Okay. All right. So, you know, with every tree being different out here, in fact, some of the trees have even more than one variety. grafted into them, but you know,
It's a 50-50
everything is
genetically,
experimental.
yeah, it's a
So
plum cot.
they do
This
all through the
Leith
spring
cot has plum in
and
it
summer and
also.
into fall
It's just not a
for probably
50-50
6 or
mix.
7 months out of the year.
We found
Every
that they're
Wednesday
too
morning
genetically 50-50.
is
The
a
tree
walkthrough
doesn't
of whatever's
grow very
ripe
well.
that
It's an
particular
unstable
week.
genetically growth.
So what we're looking at today are the varieties that were tested yesterday, a week, the Wednesday before, and the Wednesday before that you know have what we would consider to be more home garden potential and just a really good you know flavor perspective. So we're not going to look at everything that a commercial grower would be interested in, but we're going to look at what a home grower would be interested in today.
What would you say? What would a home grower be interested in?
Yeah.
Flavor. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not. It doesn't matter to most home growers if it's big. It doesn't matter what the color's like. It doesn't matter, you know, what time of year it ripens. They're just looking for selections that ripen at different months out of the year that have the best flavor possible.
Those first
So
rows with the red
to a
leaves
commercial
are all
grower,
citation rootstock.
they might be looking at
We use citation
how big does
rootstock
it
for all our
get,
trees we put
what
in
color does
containers.
it get, does it have a clean look to it, you know, no blemishes, is it something that they can pick firm and ship halfway across the country or halfway across the world to market. So a commercial grower's attributes are completely different from what a home grower is looking for, and they should be.
All right, so here we have one of our commercial varieties. It's new, it's very late. Let's see, we picked these varieties, the things we need to look for. You know, they need to be big enough, they need to be firm enough. They can't have any cracks or rain cracks or sutures or anything weird like that. Kind of a crack made into the cherry. If water gets in there, it gets moldy and you can't ship them out. No doubles, because when it gets really hot, 2 cherries form together and you can't sell that either. So that's the things we look for in all of these seedling varieties out here. And this one was selected several years ago. And it was ripe last week, so it's a little soft, but it is edible and it's very good.
Does it have a name yet?
No, it's so new it does not have a name. That's the biggest new thing. We like to have cherries that will grow without any other pollinizers. So you can just plant one variety out in the field and never have to worry about the bees coming in or whether you have the right trees or just have to harvest 2 different cherries in your field. Yeah, cherries are definitely a lot easier than plums and pluots. Yeah. Once we found the self-fertility genes, we just kept crossing them back into other cherries and created more and more self-fertile cherries. So now we have several varieties that are self-fertile. So everybody knows the Bing cherry or the Chilans or the corals. Those all need a lot of cold hours. So like here, our Bing doesn't grow very well because it doesn't get cold anymore like it used to here in the Central Valley. So what we try to do is make sure that all of these varieties don't need a lot of cold hours, and that makes them low chill varieties. So that way they can grow here. We have a few varieties that grow in Southern California, you know, in Bakersfield. That way we continue the cherry varieties after the changes in climate. You have to.
Question about pruning and fruit tree size, and maybe Tom's the expert on this one, is the tree behind you, obviously being a cherry tree, and a lot of us are capturing the size of it. And for a backyard orchard, for a lot of us home gardeners, might be too big of a tree. How small can a tree like this be kept, you know, for buying some of these Zaiger genetics through Dave Wilson?
Well, the perfect home garden tree is going to be something where you can stand next to it and put your hand up and reach the highest fruit on the tree. So, you know, we like to consider that size to be somewhere around, you know, 6 to 8 feet. Of course, everybody's a little different. If you're 6'5", like my little brother, you know, he can reach a lot higher than I can. So everybody has a different opinion of what that should be. But, you know, the kind of the rule of thumb for the concept of backyard orchard culture is choose a size that's manageable for you and be willing to keep the tree maintained at that size ultimately. So, you know, for me, on varieties like cherries or peaches or plums or apricots that ripen over a couple of weeks, that's my size right there. And I have all the low chill cherries in my planting that are still just that size.
So this tree has been selected as a variety. We looked at it for a couple years. We decided it's got all the characteristics and traits we like. And how we did that is we originally looked at trees like, well, all of these behind you. They all have sister seedlings like we saw in the test tubes. We budded them all onto that rootstock. So every single branch on there is basically a sister seedling. And every year we go through all of them multiple times. We look at them all. And if they have all the characteristics we like, then we select it. We tie a little string around it. We make a little marker for it. And then we cut back all the other branches that never made it. And it grows into a tree like this.
So the reason we're seeing the little bush of the yellow cherries, that's the rootstock?
Yes.
And all of these have a different scion on each of the scaffold branches?
Correct.
Okay.
Still reach.
So there's a
We've
bunch
shown
of
these
cherries still in
commercially
here.
twice, so
They're a little
there's a
high.
lot of cherries gone from the,
Growers came and picked them. So all the cherries that you can reach are probably a little high. So
They're
if you want to
right
find a
at
tall
their
person in there and have them pick you some cherries.
they're right at their point of peak ripeness now. So
Oh my gosh, most of the cherries are underneath the leaves.
Yeah, there's a lot underneath there. They just have to get underneath the leaves and find them.
aren't those beautiful?
Ooh, they are. They're really good. That's why I wanted to ask them.
So in 3 or 4 or 5 years, that could be a variety that you're buying in the local market. You know, it's large, it's brightly colored, it has a good flavor, and for this time of year, for mid to late June, this is a late variety. So if you want to continue the fresh fruit sequence where you're bringing in early, mid-season, late varieties, this will fit into that late market.
It's beautiful, great size.
That's the proof right there.
A little bit smaller, and it has to do with the tree. And then if it's
Absolutely.
got way too many cherries on it, the cherries will be smaller.
We live in Southern California, so we have a whole orchard in back.
Do you want me to ask somebody to pick you some cherries?
There's the bud.
Oh, like the dads and shit.
That's what it is. That's what we call it.
There you go.
Grafted multiple times so they can experiment with several varieties of flavors of fruit all on one rootstock, and then from there they'll select the better varieties and continuously graft the desired flavors.
So now that these are growing out, they'll reduce this rootstock down below more aggressively. And if this is that's another bud. So there's 1, 2, 3 buds in a row there.
It looks like they grafted on a peach variety rootstock on this one here.
Yeah, that's
the last one we saw was cherries.
Yeah, this is Nemagard peach.
Gonna be like so loud.
Oh,
I see.
Mm-hmm. Just my style.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's real strong.
Mike was over there picking and goes, "Oh, this is too hard."
So
the one I picked.
what? Okay, I'm Traci, and here is a nectarine tree. And one of my roles here at Zaiger's is I focus a lot with the nectarines and peaches. And when we're evaluating nectarines and peaches, it's similar to the cherries where we look for firmness, color, set, size, and flavor. For commercial growers, they need the fruit relatively firm. Obviously, the bigger the better because it weighs more and they can get more money when they ship it out. Color matters. With nectarines and peaches, it's easy. It's if it's red, it's usually pretty good. And then flavor obviously matters. The better the flavor. However, with the stone fruit for commercial, it's everybody kind of shops with their eyes. So when we're looking at fruit, we look for size first, and then color, and flavor actually comes in kind of last. We also look for, like Lacey mentioned in the cherries, we don't want any suture cracks or rain cracks. Oftentimes in the early fruit, we will have a blossom end hole, and we can't have that either for commercial because that allows for bugs to get in and moisture and fungus, and that's not viable for commercial. For home garden, we have a little more leeway because the fruit can be a little bit smaller, it can be a little bit softer. The set doesn't have to be as much.
But what does it have to have?
For home garden?
Yes.
Well, it has to have flavor.
There we go.
Always flavor. Flavor first for home garden.
What did you say that one time? Flavor has to be excellent.
Yeah, flavor has to be excellent for home garden, but for commercial, there's a variety.
We are a picky bunch.
Yes, you are. I've come to learn.
it makes a lot of sense that for commercial, it would be more based on appearance and obviously shippability and everything for the customer.
Yeah.
But are there smaller commercial growers who focus more on farmers markets where they're doing more of that sampling? The flavor actually is important.
Yeah, so we consider farmers market same as home garden.
Okay.
Because they're basically, they just have a smaller orchard. It's not running through a packing shed. They're just picking it, you know, maybe storing it in a cooler for a couple days, and then they're taking it off to market. And another thing we try to really focus on is, you know, to elongate the whole season. So with commercial growers and varieties, they have to have something every week. So they're not going to go to the same variety and pick it this week and then pick it next week. It'll be too soft, or, you know, it will have things that they can't use. Whereas home garden, you know, you guys could probably pick it for maybe 3 weeks because you guys can have your fruit a little softer and maybe prefer it softer. Whereas commercial, you can't have that. So in our program, we try to have a species or a variety every week from April through the end of September, and then for the plums through the end of October.
I think the Zaigers have done a wonderful job, though, of producing some of these varieties, especially the ones that you and I have sampled in the last couple of weeks, where the firm varieties now are having some pretty good sugar.
Yeah,
really
yeah, we've
good
really
texture, good sugar.
Yeah, we've really amped up our flavor profile, which is good. But yeah, a lot of the varieties, even if they're still a touch green, which commercial growers do tend to pick a little bit green because they have to do the whole shipping process. But we'll still get sugars high up into, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18 range when it's still green.
So with the Brix, if you could explain the numbers, like what is it a range of and what's considered high and medium?
Yeah, so the Brix is measuring the soluble solids, and each species of fruit has a range for the Brix. For cherries, we like to have 18 to 25 Brix. For nectarines, it used to be, you know, 12 and 13 was a good Brix, but now our Brix, okay, so this one's 21.8. So that's really high for a nectarine.
For a mid-June.
Yeah, mid-June nectarine. And we haven't had a lot of heat either. So nectarines and peaches, you know, I personally like them up in the 16, 17, 18 and higher range for subs. For acid, it used to be that 12 was really good for an acid, but now in our program, our minimum for an acid is kind of like 14 or 15. So we've upped the sugars there. Plums, pluots, we like to see 18 and higher, 20 or higher really. And then apricots are kind of within like the 15 to 20 range, 21 range. So.
Is the acid something you're testing for as well, or just?
No, we don't like test for acid. We just, yeah, we just taste it. And usually the acid comes in the yellow flesh. Not a lot of people worldwide or here prefer white acid peaches or nectarines. Except for Ed and Tom. But yeah, I know it's just in the flavor. We don't test.
I feel like a big part of that could be because people are only used to sub-acid whites and they don't know that acid whites exist. For me,
yeah.
I didn't know that acid whites existed, and so when I think of a white peach or a white nectarine, I think of sub-acid, sweet,
yeah.
And I want that acid, so I'm not gonna go to that white peach or white nectarine at the farmer's market or the grocery store because I don't feel like it's going to have the acid.
Yeah.
But if there was one with acid, then I would want to know that and I would want to try that.
Yeah.
Could we give this gentleman a door prize or something, please? That was so good.
Pick a fruit, any fruit.
That was so good.
We'll name the next one after you.
Explanation of really what one of the challenges right now in the grocery store offerings of fruit versus what you're going to get at the farmer's market. Picks or, you know.
Yeah, the grocery stores, you never know what you're going to get. And when you go back next week, you're not going to get the same thing.
Right. And the big problem is, it's just what you're saying. If all you're getting is sub-acid nectarines, white nectarines, and you eat it and you're not satisfied with that, you'll never go back to a white nectarine category-wise. And that's why it's so important for us in the industry to be adamant about the you pick people, the home, what do you call it, the fresh market people and the farmers market people need to start selling their fruit by name. You know, that's a consumer compliment. It's also a compliment to the Zaigers. Keep in mind, you know, all of the time that's put in, you know, they only benefit if that name stays out there.
One that was done that way with parents out of this, all out of the same program, where now they've selected this selection to continue on with, and the others have been removed. So this is an example of what happens when you find a superior one in that grouping, and you take off the secondaries that don't have the value.
So you just let it keep growing.
Yeah, you just favor the one selection that you want, and just come in with a chainsaw and remove the ones that you don't.
Yeah, that's really cool to see where it ends up. So it starts out like these over here.
Exactly.
You've got all these multi-buds, and then if there's one that you like on this, then you leave it on there and you allow it to grow like this one over here.
Yeah, so we make it a selection, so you can't see it on this one. We have a red string, and we tie a red string around it, and we write a label on it, and we give it a variety number, because before they're a variety, they're just we don't know what they are. They just have a mom and a dad.
They're just a selection out of one
So then,
you know, two parents.
Yeah, we select it, and then like Tom said, we cut everything else off, and then all the energy goes up into the one scaffold that's remaining, and then it becomes this. And then we also will have this same exact variety budded out into another section of the field that we're going to go to in a couple minutes.
This has obviously had a whole history.
Yeah,
And
so
you've
this
selected
was
the
once
best.
this.
Yeah.
And then, yes, this one. And some of these trees like this, sometimes they will have 2 or 3 on them.
So this here is the best of all the several fruits
Yes,
that were on
so
this
this was the
rootstock.
favorite sibling.
This is the best one, and this will now
Yeah.
get propagated.
And
into the
sometimes
future.
within the same cross, you know, maybe this one was selected on June 1st, and then there could have been another sister sibling that didn't ripen until June 7th. You know, and sometimes they're yellow flesh, sometimes they're white flesh. It just all depends what genetics pull through, just like in humans and siblings.
And I know we've discussed this in the intro, but you plant out about 50,000 seeds every year in order to come up with the best. One or 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's a very...
From 50,000. So, I mean, this is a pretty special moment to be the best out of 50,000 siblings.
Yeah, and this may not even make it to be a patent.
Yeah,
we still don't know. This is a 3-year-old variety, so it's still, you know, very new.
But the fact it's made it this far, it's winning.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
So, thank you. I'm thinking about the embryo.
Just like evaluation blocks, you know, to germplasms be, you know, each individual variety.
So everything's germplasm here.
Yeah.
Until it's recognized.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're doing the same thing with apples too?
Yeah, they're not quite as aggressive with their apple program, but
oh, here we are. This is a white sub-acid peach. And this one, so what we do on Wednesdays is we have a fruit tour, and we have all the commercial growers come and the sales reps from Dave Wilson, and we make what we call a COC list, cream of the crop. And we drive through the orchard just like we're doing today, and we stop at each tree that we put on this list because we think it's the best of what we have for that time. With that being said, there are so many varieties out here that are really, really good, but they're just not quite commercial good. So what we do is we make a separate home garden list. So this white peach we put on the home and garden list 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago, maybe. Probably because it's not quite big enough for commercial, and it was a little bit soft. So although it wasn't commercial ready, we thought it would be a good option for a home garden.
So Tom, could you explain one more time what we're looking at here?
So these are our 2-year-old trees at this point. They were propagated from seedlings embryo rescue last year about this time, and then they're overwintered in a state of dormancy and then transplanted out here in the spring. So this is the next evaluation block that selections will be made from. So these, for the most part, these are all what we would call interspecific plum apricot hybrids.
Okay. So I'm noticing these trees are planted about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 inches apart, far too close to, you know, grow out its life. what's the plan here? How are these trees going to end up growing to become this fruit tree orchard?
So that block we just passed was what we would call a secondary evaluation block. So these are seedlings that came out of their propagation process last year, and then they were transplanted out into that block for evaluation over the next 2 or 3 years. So all they're looking for is an early bloom characteristic, disease resistance, any characteristic that would lend itself towards the cross that they hybridized for. And then those trees will be selected out after a couple of years or 3 years in that secondary block and grafted out into this trial block for fruit evaluation for a number of years. So that's step number 2 in the 4 or 5 step evaluation process.
Hi.
Hi.
There's Tom.
I don't get it, Sarah?
You get a say.
Yeah, that's it. It's that old-fashioned, musky flavor that is just so much a part, like Arctic Rose. Arctic Rose has that old-fashioned, musky flavor. And I like the tightness of the skin, so it almost gives you the impression that it's firm, even though it's not, because it snaps when you bite into it. It's so much a part of the Zaiger genetic.
High oxidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no deer down here. You get towards the Bay Area or up north.
Okay, the difference between the sugar spots is the one without sugar spots was at 18. This one's at almost 21 with sugar spots. So sugar spots are, see all that spotting? See it on the skin? And okay, so sugar spots mean this. Radiant flesh means give it a try. Sugar spots mean give it a try. Just great indicators for fresh fruit. If you see it as a solid color, more than likely it's probably going to be more commercial. Great. So this is classified as an edible ornamental. Potentially, this is a great variety for planting in the landscape, and then of course enjoying the flowers, which contrast over the red the red leaves that break in the spring, and then of course the fishing for fruit, because you can't see the fruit, kind of like spiced nectar plum. So you got to go in and you got to just reach with your hands and find the fruit and go, yeah, there's one, and pull it out. So, but this is an exciting variety because there aren't too many nectarine, donut style nectarines to begin with, and this one right here offers multiple market potential, which is really exciting.
So Leith, I just wanted to thank you for having us, Ivory Organics, as well as Cameron, Akrami, the busy gardener, among many other social influencers here at the Zaiger Orchard here in Modesto, California. It's been a phenomenal experience, and thank you so very much for having us.
Oh, well, I'm glad you could come out and see some of what we're doing, taste the different flavors in the fruit, because to me that is one of the most amazing things is you can have a whole line of white nectarines and each one tastes a little different than the other.
Absolutely.
And then it hits different profiles, and we'll go down and we're going to look at some plums, and you really see flavor differences.
Can't wait.
It's kind of amazing to think of how the things we're testing today are starting out as a single tree here, and we could 10, 15 years from now see these in the store or in backyard orchards.
Correct.
And people be excited to go and pick their own fruit off of these, and it all started here.
Correct.
Yeah, we've got a number of, I probably have 10 or 12 Zaiger, maybe even more actually, as I think about it. And it's been such a delight to have the kids in our family go out and be able to pick Zaiger trees in our own yard.
We appreciate that too.
And I've got 4 on my property, and so proud to have Zaiger as part of our family experience every year. Just out of curiosity, if you can share with us all, is about how old is this process of hybridizing genetics and bringing the best flavors to the world to enjoy?
Well, it started back, like I said, it started back with my dad back in the late 50s, and we've been building our gene pool ever since then, finding different unique flavors, different traits to the trees, trying to satisfy as many people as we can so everybody gets a good experience with eating fruit.
That's wonderful. we really appreciate you and your family for their massive effort of bringing the most delicious tasting fruit for all of us to enjoy on the planet. Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Thanks.
It's what we work for.
I wouldn't recommend a walnut because walnuts are going to secrete that.
So Lacey is the granddaughter of the late Floyd Zaiger that we got the privilege and the honor of meeting about 5 years ago. But I wanted to introduce like this entire circle of amazing people. We've got Kyle Hagerty, the urban farmstead, Mike, who's worked with Dave Wilson Nursery for many years, Ed Laivo of
Edible Solutions.
but the whole YouTube channel is
Able Solutions.
that. I just want to make sure. And then we got Cameron Akrami, the busy gardener. And if you can come around a little further, we've got Diana Bain, Garden Love, and David Burke, the fig hunter. And they've been an instrumental part, obviously, of our annual fig cutting giveaway, and we really appreciate you for that as well. But such a momentous, and here's Tom Spellman, the legend, Dave Wilson Nursery, and primary leader on fruit tree care on the planet. And here we are at the Floyd Zaiger Orchard, hybridizing for the last 60 or 70 years, some of the best tasting fruits you'll ever experience on the planet. And such a wonderful experience to share all this with you guys. And thanks again for having us.
It's great to have everybody here today. I thank the Zaigers family for hosting us today on this tour. And I think you guys are all getting a chance to trial some things today that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to trial otherwise. You know, some of what you tested today may make it to the market, some of it may not, but this is what the Zaiger family gets to do every week for about 6 months out of the year. So what a fantastic opportunity. I'm really glad to have all you guys here today.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we have one more.
Let's do it.
Yeah. The experience with it is the bite
Thank you.
versus the visual. And so, you know, you take
Are
the
you-
whole,
I can't.
This one's amazing.
You just said I want a whole.
Let me try it for maybe
It is absolutely delicious.
a solid red fruit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very good.
They're all so amazing. But I mean,
And the skin is so thin, they could bite right into the fruit.
It has no
So we just discussed different varieties of pluots that can cross-pollinate one another, but how about since they're all in the same family, stone fruits, the peaches, plums, apricots, nectarines, cherries, and so forth, won't cross-pollination happen between
No.
any of these trees, or do they have to be within the pluot family in order to?
Not within the pluot family, but there's a high probability that some apricot varieties will pollinate the pluots, or the interspecific plums. Anymore, every single one of these varieties, both apricot and plum alike,
Yeah.
both share plum and apricot genes. I mean, that's where the Zaigers have brought this.
Yeah.
And so consequently, what you have is you have interspecific apricots and interspecific plums, identifying any of varieties that actually would be consistent pollinators, like say from the interspecific apricots to an interspecific plum, that may be more of a challenge.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of an interspecific plum or apricot pollinating a plum and an apricot is pretty high.
So we just said for best pollination between like pluots to stay within the pluot family, maybe plum, maybe apricot. But something that Zaiger did very well is they hybridized between peaches and cherries and plums and apricots and
Correct.
created something. I remember, hopefully I can remember how to say this, a picatum,
Yes.
which is a peach and a plum and an apricot.
Correct.
Did I miss something? I think that's
No.
3 flavors.
No.
But how's that accomplished? Again, it's,
You know, I'll tell you what, in all fairness, because we're here,
yeah,
these are the people that actually answer that question specifically. I'll answer that question generally
okay.
and say, you know, those are things that, you know, Floyd was working on for years. Okay. And I was with Wilson at the beginning of them. And I can honestly tell you, a lot of them I wasn't accepting at the time. Most of the great varieties that have come came since I left. So in all fairness, they're the ones that really have that answer, I think, more than I do.
No, that's awesome. I really appreciate your time. It's been an honor putting the whole schedule for today's event together for us. And for those of you that are not following, Ed Laivo on the Ed Able Solutions YouTube channel.
Yes.
You can follow him, and all of those links will be provided to you in the video description below.
Different flavors.
Plum, cherry. Here we go. How cool.
Mike, when you're looking at plum cherry size, this is plum cherry.
So that's what they look like from plums. But this one's almost like a really big cherry.
It evidently for me is showing it a
Super small plum, really big cherry.
This is one of our pedigrees as of today. This is for one selection.
That's so cool.
You can see where we did the crosses, the mothers, the parents, each generation that goes back, and these go all the way back until the days my father started.
And so I selected these because of their uniqueness to one another. So for instance, you know, we have an interspecific plum called the Flavor Supreme Pluot. We have the cotton candy, which is a simple plum apricot hybrid. Then we have Eva's Pride, which is new to me because poor Eva down at Niffing's.
Niffing Nursery in El
Niffing
Cajon.
Nursery. When I brought this piece of fruit into Niffing's Nursery years and years ago, Eva said, "You hybridized this fruit for me. Thank you." Is it their top seller?
It is still their top selling.
Still their top. Eva is such a powerhouse. She's such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Fred, I mean Ted was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful people. And then Soldorado because the Zaigers now contributed a whole new generation of genetic dwarfs that actually are so flavor packed that they compare to standard fruit. Absolutely compare to standard fruit. So you can't evaluate genetic miniatures primarily just on the fact that they have the dwarf gene. You can't do it anymore. You have to put them up against the top flavored nectarines, and I think you'll all see why. So I would suggest you come up and sample and see if I did any good.
So I just want to take a minute to thank our hosts today. Leith, Traci, Lacey, and Sonia. All the girls here at Zaiger's are just absolutely wonderful. It's been my pleasure over the past 24 years to be associated with these girls and with the family and with all the wonderful selections they put out. And what we were able to experience today is like nothing you can really do in this world. You can't go anywhere and try all these varieties in one place. And this is only what's ripe today. This is just one sample of what's ripe all through the season. What this family has done for fruit growing over the last 60 years is incredible. And every time you eat a great piece of fresh fruit, you should thank the Zaigers. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you guys.
So this is one of the corner trees here in the orchard. As you can see, there's some stress happening with this dead branch that's connected to pretty much the heart of the tree, as I define lower tree trunk, lower branches. Check out all of the sun stress damage as well to the bark that's been trying to heal over. And you can see there's some pests here that are walking throughout. Perfect entryway for beetles and termites. Some gummosis that's happening as well as it's stressing out. This should all be protected, protecting the heart of the tree. Tree trunk, lower branches, all whitewashed with the Ivory Organic 3-in-1 plant guard, which has the 7 natural oils to keep pests out of the tree. In addition to, again, by protecting the heart of the tree, you can get a much healthier structure until eventually you end up with a developed tree that naturally shades and keeps the lower tree trunk and lower branches cool in the hottest summer days. Also consider whitewashing your trees when you summer prune following your summer harvest. Your trees, again, opening the interior of the tree. Consider whitewashing your trees to, again, curb those weather extremes and keep your plants thriving from year to year. One other important lesson is consider feeding your trees. Again, your productive trees are going to need to be fed. The Ivory Organics All-Purpose Fertilizers give your plants not just the NPK, but all 6 plant macronutrients. You want to feed your plants the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, sulfur, and calcium. Macronutrients, nutrients that need to be in the soil in abundance for optimal health, performance, and maximum yields from year after year.
Happy gardening!